Well, hello everybody. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Transfer Talk podcast. And what a stellar lineup of guests we have with us here in the studio today. My name is Pete Graves.
Peter Graves, well, Lord, Peter Graves. Peter Graves, well, Lord, Peter Graves. Peter Graves, well, Lord, Peter Graves.
Oh, Lord, Peter Graves.
Hello, Peter.
Hello, Dharmesh Sheth. You all right?
Yeah, good, mate.
Slightly, my lord, there's like a religious tone to it.
Well, it's just like
Is that
when
what
people said, can you go back to old school? I actually went back to school.
Really?
With Kumbaya.
Yeah, I used to like
Take me
that.
back to year 3 there.
It's, you know what, funny enough, as a Newcastle fan, every day I am almost singing songs like Kumbaya. Like I feel like I'm giving off this like, oh, please somebody help me. So, oh no, thank you. It's a good choice. Obviously, you can see we have ESPN duo superstars. Julien Lorenz is with us and Sam Tighe. Sam, I'll come to you in a second. But Julien, how are
Hello,
you?
mate. Very good. And you?
Very good. Nice to see you, mate. You're
Nice to
looking
see you
well.
too. Thank you very much. Just back from holidays.
Yeah. So, did you have a post-World Cup holiday?
Indeed, yeah. In France, 3 weeks. It was
Nice.
good, with kids and friends and stuff. Yeah,
Fantastic.
that
And
was
your family in the were coming to the World Cup last time we
yeah,
saw you.
2 of the 3 children came at some point. It was the reward for doing well at school in the year. So
What a reward. Did you
Exactly.
get some games?
Yeah. The oldest one went to the quarterfinals, the France-Morocco game, and the France-Paraguay game as well, which is not so good, but still you take
What an experience.
Exactly.
Oh, brilliant.
Exactly.
Well, great to see you. Thanks
Pete,
so
he
much.
said he went on holiday. He still worked on holiday. I was at home, switched on Sky Sports News,
Yeah.
and there was Julien Lorenz in his full glory, blue skies behind him, palm tree behind him, and I was like, if it had been anyone else, I might have switched the channel, but I thought I'll listen to what
You'll
he
be
has to
loyal.
say.
Well, you'll
I'll
watch
listen
it.
to what
It's,
he says.
it's Julian's number one fan.
Yeah.
And Sam Tighe's with us again. Sam, lovely to see you, my friend.
Yeah, good stuff.
Red tan as well.
I've got a quick question for you, Jules.
He doesn't tan.
He doesn't
Sam.
tan.
No.
Did the third kid not do very well at school? So
No,
didn't
she
get to go to the
did,
World
but she
Cup?
was too young to follow. So but that's a very good point. That's a very good point.
Yeah.
Just sounded quite harsh. I had a couple of days off last week, and I should be feeling very relaxed and very refreshed. But
Yes.
instead, I woke up this morning in a cold sweat. You can tell the transfer window is weighing on me. It's becoming very difficult for me.
Why?
Because
What?
I woke up this morning. I just had a dream, or probably more accurately, a nightmare that Villa have now sold so many players that they're now selling players without even telling us. And in my dream, Ian Maatsen was sold to Manchester United, but Villa didn't even bother to sell anyone. And then we only found out on the opening weekend when he was announced in the Man United starting lineup.
It's accurate though, isn't it? Because they're after that position.
Oh, it's just yeah.
I have similar dreams about Lewis Hall. I really do. And like the last one we've got. And funny enough, I was playing football last night, and one of the lads said to me, he'd been to Valencia and he got the pre-season friend. He said, I got chatting to Lewis Hall's dad. And I was like, oh, yeah. And he was saying, yeah, I did. I was asking him. He said, I'd had a few. And I was asking him whether he was staying. He was like, Lewis Hall's dad made me feel a lot better. I thought, oh, yeah. So I'm clinging on to like my mate who's had a load of beers, having a random conversation with Lewis Hall's dad. I'm like, oh, I feel a bit better. But so I know, I feel your pain. I feel your pain, mate.
I love the window, but I hate it so much.
Yeah. It's not been fun for Aston Villa and Newcastle United fans.
Right.
But the beauty of Villa though against PSG, a couple of young players coming through, that must have given you, a bit of hope that like a new signing,
Yeah. The roller coaster of getting Brian Maggio in and scoring a good goal. Should have scored a couple really, or probably a hat trick. And George Hemmings playing in off the left side was absolutely phenomenal. So everybody was really happy with that, and everybody got really excited, and it sort of changed everyone's mindset. And then the following day, the news breaks that Brian Maggio is injured for a month, and Joao Gomez is going to miss the start of the season. So nice one.
And no one went over the top with it either, did they? They didn't say, is he the next Harry Kane or anything, did they? The morning after.
Yeah, when you've got it in your mind and you're thinking, don't big him up, don't big him up, don't big him up. And then I walked into Sky Sports News the following morning, and it was him in the massive hub, just a massive picture of Brian Maggio. I thought, all right, we're not going to big him up too much. And we should congratulate you, Julien, on another trophy for Paris Saint-Germain.
Yeah.
I mean, the trophy cabinet must just look ridiculous now.
Yeah, it's good. Back-to-back European Super Cup, which was great, although they lost the French kind of Community Shield 4 days later to Lens. And I thought, as well as Villa played, and Maggio was a handful for Pacho, for example, I thought PSG, considering how not ready they were as a team, played also some really good football at times.
Yeah.
So it should be good for the Champions League coming up for both, I think, Villa and PSG.
I think both teams had they had sort of 20-minute spells where they looked
Yeah.
really good and really on top. So that was quite promising.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So early in the summer,
Yeah, okay, well, good stuff. Well, let's get into the transfers, guys. It's brilliant to have you all with us. And I want to start with a player that we've talked a lot about already, Julien, on this podcast. That's the target for Liverpool and maybe others, Bradley Barcola. Now, he wasn't in the squad for that game you mentioned against Lens, the defeat. What are you hearing with that one? Can we read anything into the fact he wasn't in the squad there? Does that suggest a transfer is likely?
It's a very interesting one, I think. There's a few things that I think we should mention. The first one is that right now, the valuation of the player between the two clubs, PSG and Liverpool, is still so far ahead that I'm not really sure exactly what could happen next. In the sense that if there's 20 million between what Dharme's offering and what Sam wants, you meet in the middle. We've seen that very often in transfers. That can happen. If there's 50 million between what Dharme is ready to offer and what Sam wants, 50 is a big number. And right now, this is exactly the difference between what PSG want for Barcola and what Liverpool are ready to offer. So we probably expect Liverpool to have another go at it. I'm just not sure if that would be enough to get Barcola to the club. I think Barcola and Liverpool is a done deal in terms of personal terms. That's been agreed. I think he would be very happy to go there. But I don't think he's ready to go and have a fight with PSG in order to leave the club right now. If he has to stay another year, he will stay another year and he will be on the market again next summer with only 1 year left on his contract and in a much more stronger position than he is now. And PSG would be very happy to keep him, even if they have, we were saying, preparing for the show with Dharme, that they have a lot of wide players right now with the arrival of Mykhailo, for example. But still, if you can keep Barcola, you keep him at the club. From a Liverpool point of view, how much are you ready to offer to try to get him? I think 150 million is too much money for somebody like Barcola.
Well, wasn't that the fee right at the start when PSG hadn't signed and strengthened their forward line? And surely now that they're getting these players in place, because you look at Barcola and the biggest games last season is Kvaratskhelia, Dembele and Doué. And he's coming off the bench, right? Yeah. So if anything, he's going to be even less frequently used with some of these other players coming in, right? So surely the price will come down.
That's not how they see it. Because if you look at it, Kvaratskhelia is a ball-to-fit winger, right? Doué is a ball-to-fit winger. Götze is a ball-to-fit winger. Even Mbaye, to some extent, is a goal-to-fit winger too. Barcola is the only one who's super happy to just get in behind and find that space and have those runs that the others won't offer, or certainly will offer, but maybe in a different way. So if you're Luis Enrique and PSG, you don't want to let him go because he's got something that the others don't have. If you're Barcola, and that's the key here, he wants to be a starter. He wants to play more. He will earn more money at Liverpool. He's always been attracted by the Premier League and English football anyway. And it's hard to say no to Liverpool if the offer is there for you on the table. He's just won back-to-back Champions League. I think he's seeing it as like PSG was great. After leaving Lyon like he did, it was perfect. And now, what more could he achieve really at that club? Unless they go for 3 in a row in the Champions League, which would be really special. I think he's probably feel like I've done it all here now as a starter to start with, and then more as a super sub 12th man. I'm ready to go somewhere else at 24. So it'd be very interesting. I've been told as well that Liverpool just don't think they can bridge that gap between what they are ready to offer and what PSG
What do you think
want.
they would offer? Would they think they'd get to 100?
I think they get to 115 max and then that's it.
Right.
Because if you think about the current Liverpool squad, they need more than just a winger. If the winger was the last thing they needed in this squad, then they would say, okay, let's just throw the kitchen sink at it and then see what happens. But they probably still need another midfielder. Araujo coming in the defense is good. They probably need another one somewhere. Maybe they can play fullback, centre back. And they're still short of at least 3 players, I think. So is Barcola the priority? I'm not too sure.
What's he worth, Sam? You're good at this.
Well,
What would you pay? What would you pay if you were Andoni Iraola?
I basically probably wouldn't go much above 100. I think that if Liverpool's stance is 100's pushing, 115's pushing it, 100 is about right. That is absolutely as far as I would go for Barcola. Like, I say this a lot, but if you are buying a player for that much money, they have to be really, really special. Yeah. They have to be like the difference maker. They have to be the top dog. They need to come into the team. They need to be the alpha on the attack, and they need to produce when it matters. And like Jules, we've been sat in these chairs all summer talking about how Barcola, he does have issues with his end product. He does have issues with taking those big chances. So, yeah, he's really good and he's really fast, which is great. But be careful when you spend this much money because it sets those expectations very, very high. And I personally don't think Barcola would live up to those. So I would stop at 100 because even that for me, it's making me a bit nervous. But I understand that Liverpool do need to do something. So
you wonder whether this one might happen later.
Yeah, if you're Liverpool, you wait, and then maybe you make an offer 2 or 3 days before the end of the transfer window, and then see how PSG respond. The thing, though, as well, Barcola, as you said, was not in the squad against Lens. He won't be in the squad this weekend against Rennes because at the club they don't think that mentally he's ready to play.
Right, and
there's a risk that he would get injured if he plays, not being really ready mentally. What happens if he doesn't play So he's hardly played so far in this preseason. What if he doesn't play between now and the end of the month? So you would get a player for 100 or 110 million that probably needs another 3 weeks to get fully fit, ready to play in the Premier League.
This sounds like Alexander Isak.
Yeah. And then you go again to what you've seen and you've experienced at Liverpool last season. And if you're Liverpool, you're thinking, I'm not sure I want to go there again, basically.
No, great point, because that's exactly what they got in Isak. Wasn't it a player with no pre-season and no games under his belt at all? And he did really badly, which was obviously really awful to see from my point of view. But sticking with Liverpool, I'm only kidding, Liverpool fans. The Reds have agreed a deal with Ibrahim Mbaye from PSG as well. So what kind of a player is he?
I mean, he's a super talented, promising kid, but he's only a kid.
Yeah.
He hasn't played that much for the first team, certainly not as a starter. He showed glimpses of great talent since he was 16, really, because he made his debut at 16. But there's a difference between playing for PSG at 18 in Ligue 1, where things are easy, where you have a lot of the ball and you will have a lot of chances and you are in a very dominant team, and then making that move to Liverpool with everything that means and stepping up into the Premier League. I think he's very much at the development stage of his career, but he will be a very expensive player for that stage of his career because I think PSG are looking at 50 million. 50 million for a player like Ibrahim Mbaye when you've got great potential there, sure, but you've got Rio and Gomua that you're trying to develop. Do you need another winger that you want to develop? So you can't really start him every game. There's also the whole kind of family side to it that we don't have to go into details in, but that at times I think has been a bit challenging from a PSG point of view, certainly, or what I'm being told. And I don't know if you're Liverpool right now, I'm not sure that's what you need really. But he's on pure talent and football. As an 18-year-old, he's one of the best in his kind of generation.
Right, fascinating. So that could go one or two ways, couldn't it, really? And we're going to get into Manchester City next, but obviously we saw at the weekend, like we were talking about PSG and Lens, we saw the English equivalent in the Community Shield and Arsenal battering Manchester City. We're obviously going to talk about Rodri, Sam, but they seem to be missing him and a lot more, didn't they?
Well, of course, you're going to miss a Rodri when he's not there. I mean, he's the best defensive midfielder in the world. So, yeah, when he's not there, it hurts. Admittedly, City didn't really see the best of Rodri all of last season, as he recovered from his ACL. But you know, you watch him at the World Cup, and you can say pretty confidently that he's got it back and he's ready to go. So. City, the surprise for me was that they tried to use Mateo Kovacic in the Rodri role. It's 2026. Are we doing that? That's a bit odd, especially since they just signed Elliot Anderson, who I would have expected to take on that role. So seeing Anderson kind of floating over on the right a little bit, just slightly detached from build-up, I thought was a bit strange. I thought that the makeup of City's midfield was really weird, not just Kovacic, but where Anderson was too. I accept that Enzo Maresca is clearly getting to grips with his squad, and this is technically pre-season, so it's nothing to be too concerned about. But that was his first port of call, and I found that quite jarring to see. Maybe it was just a case of simply ruling Kovacic out of that role because he didn't do great. But then again, City overall weren't great. They looked quite horrid, to be fair. But it's early days, and even Anderson hasn't had much pre-season for City, I guess.
No doubt at all that City are going to miss Rodri. That was evident. And Dharms, the fee, did it surprise you?
So we had a long chat, me and Jules. I keep referring to the fact that we were having a coffee downstairs, and we got through quite a lot, actually. And the fee, actually, when I looked at it, it did surprise me in one way. but not in the way that it surprised Jules, because I was like, well, Elliot Anderson's gone for 116 million. Morgan Rogers, 117 million. Mateus Fernandez, 85. Tonali, 100. And Rodri, who Sam described like the best defensive midfielder in the world. Yes, he's only got a year left on his contract. Yes, he's in his 30s, but 65.4 million pounds. I was like, that's a pretty good deal. If you were to look at it without any of the other deals that had gone through, and you look at the fact that he is 30 years old, he has had a few injury problems of late, and he's into the final year of his contract, 65 million pounds looks like a good deal for City in one way. But it's Rodri.
Yeah.
But it's Rodri.
So it's a good deal for Barca because it's Rodri, yeah.
So you could argue that it could be a good deal for everyone. But Jules was very adamant that...
I thought it was...
I thought he was completely agreeing with me. And he went, no, this is like too much money.
Because I think he's injury prone massively. Sam mentioned the fact that he hasn't played much the last 2 years, the ACL, and then the recovery of the ACL, by the way, seems even harder than the ACL itself. He's already injured. He had that surgery on his back straight after the World Cup. I think the World Cup was great. It was 7 games that he played. And there's a difference between playing 7 games with your national team in the rhythm that they did at the World Cup and playing 60 games in the Champions League. La Liga is not the Premier League in terms of intensity and rhythm. Sure. Still, I just think right now Barcelona have other priorities and needs than yet another number 6. As good as Rodri can be or is on his day, former Ballon d'Or winner, everything you want, World Cup winner. I just didn't think they would offer that kind of money. I think for me, it's 20 million too much.
Right.
45, that's the price. That's the right valuation for me, I think, for Rodri. And I don't even know where Barca found that money because they have no money, although they sold well, Ferran Torres including, obviously. But I just like, wow, you still need the number 9 Bali because right now Hansi Flick seems to be the guy playing number 9. And then you go and spend that money on another number 6 where you already have plenty in your squad. Whether they're good or not, or better or not than Rodri, it doesn't matter so much. But De Jong, Casado, Bernal, even Pedri played a bit deeper last season. And now you go and spend that on him. I'm just thinking like, well, okay, good. And we don't even know when he's going to be back, by the way, from his injury. Yeah. And just to finish on that, and it's not me ranting, I promise you, but the way Flick plays in his Barca team, with the high press and with the high line and everything you want, and Rodri would be good because there will be games where they have 70% of the ball. For the games where they don't, and when they've been hit in transition so much the last 2 years, Rodri is not going to help you for that.
Yeah.
Because he's not the most dynamic number 6 anyway. So I'm just like, okay, let's see. But it's a lot of money, I think.
This will be music to Manchester City fans' ears, Jules. I'm sure that, as much as they love Rodri, they'll be secretly hoping that they have got themselves a really good deal there. But yeah, I mean, there's no doubt they will miss him. Maybe more than Barcelona will benefit, but we'll wait and see. And there was a lot of talk of Real Madrid being in for Rodri, but he's ended up at Barcelona, and some suggesting that Mourinho was never bothered ringing the player, and whereas Hansi Flick did, and all the Barcelona players were trying to get him over to the Camp Nou. What was your reading of that? Did you think it was just not Mourinho doesn't need him either? He's in Barca, don't need him. I mean, Real Madrid is stacked with quality midfielders as well.
Yeah, but I think they were worried about the injuries. I think they were worried about his fitness. I think they were worried about the lack of mobility. Not so much again in La Liga, but more for the Champions League games. And I can understand that from Mourinho in a way. And then the fee, I don't think Real Madrid would have offered that kind of money anyway.
Right.
So I think pretty early on in the summer, we knew they were kind of out of it. And then from a City point of view, you could have kept Rodri and losing him for nothing next summer. But this makes more sense for City. And City are right now in the process of having a much younger squad. We saw that in the Community Shield, where I think they had 6 players under the age of 25 or 26. And Rodri is part of that. Part of you let him go at 30 for that kind of money. You sign Bouaddi, who is 18. You sign Enzo Fernandez, who's 24, to replace Rodri and Reinders. And Reinders was also above the age of 26 too. It makes a lot of sense from a City point of view, even if Bouaddi is nowhere near right now the level of Rodri, and Enzo is a very different profile to Rodri. But
Anderson's in there too, right? And he's 23, so bring him down.
I think Anderson is the natural replacement to Rodri. I agree with Sam. I'm not sure exactly why they wanted to do with him in that Community Shield, but I think the idea would be to have Anderson in the Rodri role, to have Bouaddi there, Enzo probably more of an 8. And I think if you start the season with Anderson, Bouaddi and Enzo Fernandez instead of Bernardo Silva, Rodri and Reinders, if you're a City fan and Maresca, right now you're very happy with that.
I noticed, Jules, you keep dropping Enzo's name in there. I mean, there was this whole deadline, the 5 p.m. deadline the other day, that they had to stump up the money for Chelsea. But you think that might still happen?
Yeah, I think the deadline was like, we've seen that before. Clubs trying to put a bit of pressure on other clubs and say, like, if you don't put an offer in by Friday, the only deadline is the end of the transfer window. That's all that matters. And City know it. Enzo knows it. Javier Pastore, who's his agent, knows it. And Chelsea know it as well. It's very easy to understand, simple to understand. So I think Enzo will move. He wants to move. Maresca wants him at City. City will get a lot of money for Rodri and Reinders.
Yeah, that basically pays for it, doesn't it?
Exactly.
The Reinders and Rodri money. Yeah. That's our beef.
Chelsea are basically saying we want to sell him.
Yeah, but
it's 120 million pounds by Friday. If there was like 2 other clubs aside of City in for him, then maybe you can understand, right, they're going to push the price up. It's a one-horse race, it looks like. City want him. He wants to go to City. And they're saying clubs need to make an offer by... It's club needs to make an offer by Friday. And City will just say, right, number one, we're not going to accede to these demands of a deadline that's not even the transfer deadline. And number two, Chelsea are effectively saying we want to sell him. So why don't we just wait till towards the end of the window when we can buy a player that wants to come to us, that Chelsea want to sell, but we don't need to pay 120 million pounds for him. We just wait a little while and we'll get him for less money. Are Chelsea going to turn around and say to City, if City make a bid of over 100 million pounds towards the end of the window, sorry, you missed that Friday deadline, so it's not going to happen? I don't think so.
Does Enzo Fernandez close the gap if, as Jules says, it does go through in these final weeks of the window? Does that close the gap significantly on this currently seems to be there between City and Arsenal?
Oh, that is a good question. Maresca loves Enzo Fernandez, doesn't he?
Yeah, they seem to love each other, don't they?
They love each other. Look, I have my established doubts on Enzo Fernandez as a footballer. Jules, I think we've talked about it before. I can't put my finger on exactly why it is that I don't think he's brilliant. I think it's his inability to play in certain partnerships. Like, he never really meshed with Caicedo, and I was like, can you imagine an attacking midfielder that couldn't mesh with Caicedo? What's gone on there? I never really understood it. So I do have some doubts about Enzo, but obviously he cannot stay at Chelsea. Like, this is untenable.
Do you think him and Elliot Anderson would work?
On paper, yeah. Just like him and Caicedo works on paper.
Yeah.
Look, Bouaddi and Anderson as a potential shield, with Enzo then just doing whatever he wants. That on paper, to me, that sounds like it could work, because, all right, Enzo may have some tactical misgivings and maybe can't quite follow plans to a T in terms of defensive stuff, but like, if you just let him ransack the box, he's going to score you 15 goals. And if you have the midfield shield of Bouaddi and Anderson that allows him to do that, then on paper that seems like it would be very, very effective. Yeah, I'm just struggling to put it together in my mind, because they're all new players. Like, you're asking about basically a completely new trio. Like,
overhaul.
How would that work? And I'm like,
If they
two of them don't even
two,
play for them.
If they get those two, that's over 300 million pounds. On those three players. That's what it would work out as, wouldn't it?
Yeah. That is a midfield overhaul, isn't it? And like you said, the Rodri transfer will help to fund that, and the other one is Tijani Reinders, who's gone out to Saudi, Al Qadsiya, 51 million quid. I think that's more than they paid AC Milan.
It is. Yeah.
I mean,
They've done a great job getting more in than they spent.
You buy Trafford for 27 million pounds.
Yeah.
He stays the whole season on the bench. You sell it for 15 million more a year later. You buy Reinders for, I think, 35 at the time. He doesn't have a great season, let's be honest. He started okay and then just never found his way in this Guardiola team. Maybe not good enough, maybe not in the right position. I'm not sure. I think he's a decent player. And then you sell him for another 15 million. I don't know how they do those deals. It's pretty incredible.
They sell brilliantly.
They've been doing this for a very long time. Yeah. They used to charge Southampton 15 million pounds per player, and they sold them like 6 of them. And now they've stepped it up a notch, and now they're just like shelling players out for 50 that literally didn't work for them.
Yeah.
Like those players should have gone down in value.
And we're all talking like Bouaddi and Enzo. It could happen. I mean, I was sort of thinking, is it going to be one or the other? But do we all thinking that it will, as Dom says, be both of them, and it'll be this £300 million overhaul?
Want both. I think they
You think
want
they'll
to
get him?
bring
Do you
both.
think
I think Bouaddi will be there.
Yeah,
So then
Bouaddi
it's
would
the
be there.
question of Enzo.
So it's eight, like you were saying, this I think it's £85 million roughly that they're looking for Bouaddi.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
100 million euros. Yeah.
120 million for Enzo, and then you've already played 160 million on Anderson. I mean, it's just that's an incredible window. I mean, me and Sam, they prepare for some more nightmares. You don't see that kind of overhaul at Villa Park or St James's Park, mate. I mean, don't get me started. I'll get told off, but but yeah, it's I mean, quite incredible. Let me just put you all on the spot then before we move in, before we move on. Jules, you're saying it will be Enzo, Bouaddi, and Anderson. All three will sign ultimately before the window closes. Dharmesh, yay or nay? Or was it one of the two, or all three? None.
Yes. No.
One or.
Okay,
Okay.
I'll go
Zip.
with Jules.
Yeah.
I think they'll probably buy both.
Okay, Bouaddi and Enzo. Sam?
I'm not going to disagree with two gentlemen who have more knowledge than I do there. Whether or not that's the right idea, I
that's the
don't
thing.
know.
Yeah.
I would be worried about all sorts of different things there. You've got Foden who needs to break back into this and get a really good season under his belt. Cherky, I mean, like it's too many players at a certain point. So I would be wary on the Enzo deal. I personally probably wouldn't do it.
Right.
But I do the Bouaddi deal.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's see. Like you said, the Maresca and Enzo relationship seems to be key to that one. And just seeing Enzo next season, if he doesn't manage to get his move and he stays at Stamford Bridge, I mean, he's shown frustrations already. More often than once. I mean, goodness me, what kind of frustrations might seep through?
He got booed in pre-season at Stamford Bridge by a smattering of
He's
fans.
having a great time, isn't he? Yeah. Well, let's see if he gets his move. Well, we might as well talk about Chelsea then, shall we? And carry on discussing what they might do. I mean, so still some potential outgoings, including that big one for Enzo. They've already made £160 million from player sales this summer. We always say about Chelsea, we've just been talking about Man City being good sellers and, with Trafford and Reinders, but Chelsea continuously seem to sell very well. You do get other fans of other Premier League clubs. How come Chelsea keep buying all these players, but they sell unbelievably well? We're talking about Enzo there, but what about Pedro Neto? Interest from Saudi Arabia. And talk of £100 million asking price. 100 million is just standard now.
200 million, no?
You double it for the Saudi Arabia tax.
It has been doubled already. 100 is doubled. Surely. Because 100 is a crazy valuation.
Well, it's 46 million more than they paid for him just 2 years ago. It would be a great deal for Chelsea if they could pull that off.
Surely they can't.
Yeah, but I can see why Chelsea would do that. They would see Saudi Arabia and I know it's changed. The Saudi Pro League is trying to change their approach by not throwing huge amounts of money at players. But you've got someone, whatever you think of Pedro Neto, and people will say, some will say he's overrated, others will say, no, he's really, really good. A really, really good player. I think he's a good player. Is he 100 million? Maybe not. But the fact of the matter is that he is at that age where the Saudi Pro League will say, well, look at the kind of players we're attracting. We're attracting players of an age where they're at their peak and at their pomp. So the Chelsea will then say, well, if that's the case, we know you've still got money, even though the approach is wrong. Why not start the bidding at £100 million? And if it comes down, they can still make a profit on a player they've had for a couple of seasons.
Yeah.
And they sell, I mean, we're talking about clubs selling well. City, Chelsea, I don't know if we're going to talk about them later, but maybe on another podcast, Tottenham Hotspur. They need to be given credit as well for the way they've sold, because their net spend, even though they've spent a hell of a lot of money, is not that big. But City and Chelsea are the masters at it.
Chelsea, they sell a lot of players, So the total fee of sales looks really high because they sell a lot of players, because they buy a lot of players. It's a quantity game for Chelsea more than necessarily a quality game when it comes to, they do get good fees for players, no question. But that sales figure always looks like 300-400 million, whatever it is, because they have so many players, they have to move them all on.
How tough is it as a Villa fan? We're talking about teams making amazing fees for all these players, and I'm looking at Villa and it's like, couple of quid for Yuri Tillemans, couple of quid for Luca Dina.
Can we
couple of quid for Morgan Rogers?
He was happy.
Can we have Palhinha on loan, please?
No loan deal available.
Morgan Rogers for 116.
So
well done, mate.
So the 117. So the
17. Sorry, yeah.
So the problem there, Pete, is that with Villa, it's like they're in a UEFA settlement agreement, so they have to make money. Yeah. Chelsea, the team that bought their player off them for 117 million, also in a UEFA settlement agreement. That's the bit that really hurts. Villa, Newcastle, fine, restricted, but Chelsea don't seem to show any signs of being in a.
It's because they sell Pedro Neto for 100 million.
They sold 300 million pounds worth of centre backs to somewhere random.
Yeah,
they do what they do.
And look, they've brought in. A couple of the sort of more eye-raising transfers was Jordan Henderson and Danny Welbeck. But Danny Welbeck coming in, I mean, I think they're sensible signings, don't get me wrong. But would you think that Chelsea will cash in on the likes of Liam Delap and the likes of Nicolas Jackson as well? I mean, they've got João Pedro there, who'll probably he'll start in the 9.
Yeah. Emega has arrived from Strasbourg, as well as another number 9. I'm not sure what the plan is with him.
He got injured, didn't he? Quite badly.
He got injured, and he's not always, again, easy to kind of manage. And Chelsea fans, if they are Strasbourg fans or if they watch Ligue 1, will know exactly what I'm talking about. So let's see what happens to Emega. They need a backup to Pedro, they need that. They have the experience of Welbeck for it. I think that Henderson, I'm not a fan of Henderson, as you know, but him and Welbeck, in terms of it, for a team that was craving experience since probably Thiago Silva left the club, is great, is perfect. But then you also have Rogers who arrived. I think Barco is a very smart signing. Okay, he's from Strasbourg and they paid 40 million for him, but I think he's a very, very good player, very smart signing for them in that midfield area, if you want. But I still think that Chelsea selling so well is interesting. I don't think they will get the money they want for Nico Jackson because they want £70 million and that will never happen in a million years. For Liam Delap, I'm not sure what the market is or what the valuation is because he's a decent player, but he showed at Chelsea that step up from Ipswich was too high and too big, which is fair enough.
He should go to Everton.
Yeah, or Aston Villa.
No.
I'm kidding. Or Newcastle.
No.
Yeah, we'll take anyone.
Yes, right now, yeah. I mean, remember what Yasler said, losing is okay. But yeah,
that's going to be the
I'm
story
quite
of the
excited about
season.
Chelsea. I'm quite excited because I think Xabi Alonso, without Europe as well, will do a really good job with the players he has already. And probably a couple more that they will add between now and the end of the transfer window.
You mentioned centre-back Sam leaving. I mean, with Badiashile on his way, Tosin as well.
They got a lot of them.
Yeah. They have got a lot.
They got a lot of centre-backs. They bought a lot of centre-backs. Yeah. I like Badiashile. I think he's a good player.
He was so highly rated before he came in, right?
Yeah, I think he's a good
Good
player. I
passer,
think he's
left-footed as well.
a genuinely good player that just, for several different reasons that I probably can't explain quickly, it just doesn't seem to have happened. But like someone, I mean, where's he going? He's going to... Is it
Napoli?
Napoli getting him on loan.
Yeah, he's not sure.
So yeah, we'll see. Hopefully for him, a bit of a revival because I'm pretty sure there's a really good player in there. Yeah, and with the others, like Tosin is a good squad member. Like Disasi is good at what he's good at. A pretty basic defender, but like duels, aerials, that sort of stuff, set pieces, great. Tosin is very good friends with Cole Palmer, isn't he? And you need, with the star players, you need to keep them happy. You need to make sure those players are around and they feel comfortable. Like it happens all the time. I mean, I'm sure that's part of the reason why they bought Morgan Rogers, because he and Cole Palmer are not only could play very well together, but they're best friends. Like it's a squad harmony thing for Chelsea, and the focus needs to be on that because, as you say, like crying out for experience. How many red cards last season? 9.
Yeah.
It's like they need to fix these kinds of things.
Big thing, in a big season for Cole Palmer. But speaking of fixing things, that Mykhailo Mudryk's back, albeit he likely to leave as well on loan, isn't he?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I mean, I think there's an easy move there from Chelsea to Strasbourg for him and go in Ligue 1, have 6 really good months, even not just the whole season until January. I think he could be very good in France because of the qualities that he has. And then after that, you'll have far more teams available for him on that market. So for me, it's a no-brainer. If they want to keep him in England, I can also understand. And there might be some clubs there interested in this kind of winger. Because again, I know what happened and the suspension and all of that. But if he can be back even to kind of 50% of what we saw, forget about the first few months at Chelsea, but what he was at Shakhtar before, I think there's a good player there. Maybe not for top teams, maybe he's just not good enough for that. But for a Premier League squad in mid-table, if you want, I think there's it's an interesting profile to have.
What about this Pep Chavarria? Do you know much about him, Sam?
The king of the duels, as they call him in Spain.
Okay.
Yeah. His one major trait is 1v1 defending in duels. He just doesn't lose them.
Not a bad quality to have.
Yeah, it's right, especially these days in very intense physical Premier League. So, I mean, it's a very surprising transfer, I guess, because like, how often do you see a club like Chelsea? I accept that they finished very poorly in the Premier League last season, but they're still an elite club. How often do they target a 28-year-old left back from a team like Rayo Vallecano? Like it on every level, it makes almost zero sense. But Xabi Alonso appears to have fallen in love with him, and Xabi Alonso appears to have seen all of the 1v1 duel highlight reels that I've seen because he just doesn't lose them. So handy thing to have, and he didn't cost very much, so I don't think there's really any risk here. I think he'll come in and just be quite a solid member of the team.
28 years old, young player for Chelsea in this window.
They have brought a lot of experience. Talking of teams that haven't brought experience, and I always get told off for talking too much about Newcastle, but don't blame me. It's in the script, guys, right? John's put it in here. So next section, Newcastle United. I'm surprised he hasn't put a laughy face next to it. It wouldn't be a Transfer Talk podcast without talking about the goings-on at St James's Park. And you're right, but usually we're not supposed to. I just do it anyway. But let's talk about it because I really want to. I got invited to St James's Park on Saturday.
Okay. Are you going?
No, I'm going. I'm going this Sunday.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I'm going to the Liverpool game. I'm going to the Liverpool. There's going to be it's going to be very emotional. Big Kevin Keegan tributes.
Yeah.
His whole family are coming to the game, which I think I can say now. So I'll be with Kevin's wife and his two daughters, their husbands, their grandkids. All the Keegan family are coming. It's going to be a very special day off the field with regards to the supporters, and there's lots planned as far as tributes to Keegan. Obviously, Keegan was a legend at Newcastle and Liverpool. My understanding is the two clubs have spoken and Liverpool are on board with it also. It's going to be an incredible day from that point of view until the football starts. That's when I'm worried about what might happen. It's been a tough old summer for Newcastle in so many ways, but they are trying to bring some players in. I got told, I was at the game on Saturday, the pre-season game, speaking to various people at the hierarchy of the club, and there was a suggestion, and actually I was alongside a new North East reporter, Keith Down, who we watched the game together, feeling that there will be some more additions made before the window shuts. Obviously, we'll talk about Dedic in a moment, who's the new fullback, who's the Kieran Trippier replacement. But they've lost Tonali, they've lost Bruno, they need midfielders. The players that they have brought in, Sean Sturr and Bamba, they're both very young.
Yeah.
So Joao Palhinha is one that's been mentioned, Julien. Obviously, they did a good job at Tottenham last year. He's a Bayern Munich player. Villa in the conversation as well. But it seems like maybe Newcastle have got a chance of getting him.
Yeah, and again, I think if you use him on his qualities of this kind of wall in front of your back four to defend and to break down the opposition's attacks, to recover the ball. Don't ask him to be too creative with the ball. He can't do that. Technically, that's not his skill set. But I think for that, it's great. And I think then Bamba and Sturr can be the more creative players if you want, or certainly the more box-to-box. And having Ming there, I think is good. He's not Bruno. He will never be that. Or no. Tonali, or a mix of them. You still have Joe Linton, obviously, in there. But I think it's if it doesn't cost too much because he's 30 years old now.
Yes.
I think it's a good signing.
It's potentially a loan as well. There's clubs are shopping around for maybe a 1 year loan. I think Palhinha wants to go somewhere and settle, but I'm not sure anyone he's quite, probably because of the age. Maybe I'm not certain if.
One of the thing that was interesting you say that, Sam, because I certainly think Villa were talking about a loan, and I just wonder whether Newcastle in their desperation might do a permanent deal, which might tip the scale in their favour, which is why I'm saying I wonder if they've just edged ahead.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, Villa looking at a temporary replacement for Amadou Onana, who tore his ACL at the World Cup, and you look at Onana, what have you got? 6'6", covers ground, amazing at breaking up play. Joao Palhinha, all of his strengths really are off the ball strengths. On the ball, he's extremely limited, and I think he suits Newcastle and Gijsler much better than you would traditionally believe him suiting Unai Emery, because he's quite limited on the ball in terms of build-up and possession dominance.
I love that. Can we just clip that bit out, please? I think he suits Gijsler and Newcastle more than Emery and Villa, because he's quite limited, really. Yeah, go on, cheers for that, Sam.
No worries.
This takes me back to when you told me Tonali was the worst player you've ever seen. When there was tell me something nice about Dedic.
Let me expand on that a little bit. So, even last season, Roberto De Zerbi trying to push Tottenham into sort of like baiting the press and building play. He was taking Palhinha out of midfield for build-up because he didn't necessarily trust him to play the passes under pressure. So that's the way that Villa play too. So on the ball, it's a funky fit, but I understand the physical characteristics of replacing Onana. But for Gijsler, which is a more direct style, I think it fits really, really well, and I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up there. But Dedic, I mean, I've seen him play twice, I think.
Okay.
So limited. Unfortunately, both those times were against Vinicius Junior.
Nah. Yeah.
but let's not criticise the guy for struggling to contain Vinicius Junior, shall we?
There seems to be a suggestion that he's maybe better going forward than he is defensively from all the stuff I've seen online.
Yeah. He is a pure Gijsler signing as well. Like they overlapped, didn't they, in the Red Bull system at Salzburg, and he's very much, I think, a Gijsler request. So
it seems like Gijsler's trying to buy players he knows a bit about and he's had before. There's others being mentioned. Do you think Newcastle could have a busy last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I think so. And they need to be fair. I mean, we saw Dedic in France a lot when he was at Marseille, and that was not good. But it's okay. I mean, the way his valuation has gone up is quite crazy compared to the money that, he was valuated at Marseille at the time. So I think going forward is great. Defensively, not so much. But I think there's a decent player there who can also play on the left, although he's right-footed. Yeah. He played before on the left-hand side as well, if need be. When Lewis Hall goes to Manchester United, in the last day of the transfer window, with Ian Madsen.
Yeah, of course.
No, his dad told my drunk friend it's going to be fine.
I forgot about that.
And while you just touched on Marseille, I should ask you about the Højbjerg situation.
That was crazy, wasn't it?
Yeah, and the report has been stripped of the captaincy. Marseille really wanted him. I mean, why did he not want to come to Newcastle, do you think?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I think he has in his mind, certainly, and we can agree or not at his age and at his level right now. He wants to play in a team that plays in the Champions League, that is like a top 5 team, whatever league, really in the big 5 leagues.
Yes.
And no offense to Newcastle, but that's not really the situation of the club right now.
We ain't top 5 right now, no.
No, but Marseille were really angry, especially Frank Marcourt, the owner, and to be fair, the sporting director, Grégory Lorenzi, and people like that, because everything was agreed with Newcastle, 8 million plus 2 in bonuses, which I think for Højbjerg is a good value, good valuation, good price. Then he's getting his wages off the books at Marseille, which they have to. And then he said no. He said, I don't want to go. I won't go somewhere I don't want to go. I've got 2 more years left on my contract. So without the agreement of the coach, Bruno Genesio, who wanted to keep Højbjerg as the captain, they took the armband off. I mean, Genesio was really open to say, like, this is not my call. This is the club's call. I have to go along with it, but I don't agree with it. I'm not happy with it. Højbjerg doesn't mind so much. And if you know about Højbjerg, nothing really phases him, to be fair. So he will keep playing. He was very good when they played against Atletico in the last friendly, for example. He will play in the league that starts for them on Friday against Strasbourg. But it looks like he won't go to Newcastle. And he's waiting for a better club, really, or bigger, not bigger, but better club to move if he feels like moving.
Yeah, there was some suggestion as well from the people at Newcastle I spoke to that the wage demands were quite high as well if he was.
Yeah, he's already on quite a lot of money anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry, getting the club captaincy stripped off you by someone above the manager and then the manager saying that they disagree is madness.
It's already toxic.
I know it's Marseille, but come on.
I agree.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Sam, you start the show by talking about nightmares. Aston Villa have agreed a deal to sign the Japanese goalkeeper Zion Suzuki. And when I say nightmares, I'm just saying, are you happy with this signing, 29.9 million, or is it a worry that it means that Martinez is leaving, or what's your overall take on it?
The Emi Martinez situation, flip-flopping it's nightmare worthy, Pete. It certainly is. It wasn't last night's nightmare, but it might be tonight's nightmare. Villa just needs some closure, I think, on Emi Martinez, and it's a situation that's been hanging over the club's head for a couple of years.
Is Suzuki number one?
The talk is right now is that the Villa are bringing in Suzuki, despite the fact that Martinez's move to Juventus failed.
Yes,
and he's being brought in on the condition of being number one, because there was some reporting, Jules, I don't know if you can speak to this, but reporting that Suzuki's move to PSG fell down for three reasons. One of which was he wasn't particularly happy to be, either moved around on loan or not being given number one assurances. So I think Suzuki has a very clear idea of what he's going to be doing at Aston Villa, and Villa need to find a solution for Emi Martinez. And it doesn't take a lot of money here, I think, to get him. The wages are they might be a problem. The real concern for Martinez and Villa is that I'm looking around for options here and solutions, and I'm struggling to find them. Right? Okay, Juventus is off the table. Could Atletico Madrid come back in? It's possible, but I don't know. Jan Oblak is still there. They showed some interest last summer. Martinez didn't want to go to Saudi last season. I don't know if that changes this time around. And Turkey's always brought up, but the big four in Turkey have all got goalkeepers. So I don't know, he's not going to go there when Edison plays for Fenerbahce, or, Besiktas have just signed Alexander Nubel, for example. Like, I'm scratching around for options here, as the club will be, and I'm struggling to come up with an answer, but looks like they're pressing on with Suzuki regardless, and they're sort of trying to take control of the situation and not be caught short if, on, say, for example, August the 28th, Martinez decides that he wants to go.
We shall see. He's top goalkeeper, isn't he? But Suzuki looked good in the World Cup as well, didn't he? You've just touched on Turkey. It reminded me to ask you about Gabriel Martinelli. Galatasaray potentially were involved, but is Martinelli look more increasingly like he's going to just stay at Arsenal?
These clubs in Turkey are going for it, aren't they?
Yeah.
They seem to have a lot of money. Salah,
they don't have money, but they spend a lot of money, that's for sure.
Exactly.
They're all in debts massively, and then Fenerbahce, Gala, Besiktas, everybody signs.
And there was a bid, by all accounts, of around 45 million euros on the table from Galatasaray, and whether Arsenal wanted to agree to that much money or not,
because it brought talk of Osimhen as well, didn't it?
Yeah, apparently so. Yeah, it was mentioned in those talks. It was all moot. It was a moot point because Gabriel Martinelli himself doesn't want to go to Galatasaray, probably not to Turkey. So it's that left-sided equation that Arsenal have been really, really trying to find a solution for. We knew they wanted to bring in Vinicius Junior. That one hasn't happened. They've got Christos Zolis and they've got Gabriel Martinelli. All the noises would suggest that they want to upgrade that situation whereby Zolis would be the one who is competing with somebody who is a blue chip signing, rather than Zolis being the first choice with Martinelli competing with him.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting to see how this one transpires, but it's clear that Arsenal want to do business on Martinelli. He wasn't in the squad, was he, for the Community Shield?
Nope.
Alongside the likes of Wanyeri and Gabriel Jesus. Just shows the strength of that Arsenal squad at the moment. I don't think Marino or Dauman even got off the bench.
No.
To not get off the bench in that...
And Mikkel Marino played in the World Cup final.
Exactly.
And the endowments are clearly a top.
Exactly. So
scary.
If they can do business in the last 2 weeks with Martinelli, it might open up another signing that Arsenal could maybe bring in on the left side. But we were talking about this earlier, weren't we, George? Like, who is that player?
They won't go for Barcola, were they? They won't go in for Barcola.
I think, again, it's a bit expensive.
Yeah.
I think Barcola would be great there. I think they looked into it before. They still do. But yeah, it might be the valuation.
A lot of money. One potential signing that will be music to Sam Tighe's ears, Jarell Quansah. Not Quansah to Arsenal. Where's this one?
Well, no, it's not going to be music to Sam's ears, because I think if you're being very cynical about the approach to Bayer Leverkusen over Jarell Quansah, you could take him one of two ways. On face value, yes, they are interested and they like the player. But the whole summer they've been after Ezri Quansah. Now, if you are trying to negotiate a price with Aston Villa and you can't find a solution on that price, it doesn't harm you to look at other players and for that approach to become public. So if Aston Villa are now looking at the situation where Arsenal are after Jarell Quansah, or is there a solution to be found on Quansah? Because Arsenal still want Ezri Quansah to come to the Emirates, but there is a big gap in that.
That's a
nightmare number. That's Thursday night's nightmare.
Yeah.
That's like the episode of The Simpsons where if you pause your TV, you see the exact moment the sanitized heart breaks in half. he just literally went.
But they want, but they do want Ezri Quansah.
Yeah.
And if they are after someone like Jarell Quansah, who by Leverkusen are under no pressure to sell and don't want to sell, then maybe does that bring the price down on Quansah? Has he got 2 years left on his contract?
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that that's the new danger zone. 2 years left on a contract. Before it was 1 year, and people start negotiating. Then clubs are now negotiating when players have 3 years left on their contract. And then 2 years is like, right, we need to sort something out here. Either sell him or tie him down to a new deal. Now, if they can't agree a deal with Quansah on a new contract, are they going to have to meet somewhere halfway with Arsenal on a transfer fee? Because if they don't do business in this window and he ends up staying without signing a new contract, his price and his valuation is only going to go down. Sorry.
We had Jacob Tanswell, Villa reporter for The Athletic, on this podcast last month, and he made it like very clear as to what Villa's stance is on Quansah, but all the other players too, which is once you get to 2 years left, sign a new deal or let's look at the market. Because that Dams, as you say, that is kind of the inflection point for clubs at this point. So I'm pretty sure that Villa would say goodbye to Ezri Quansah for the right price. It's just about whether or not Arsenal are actually going to end up spending the money. And
What's the right price?
Well, I don't look. Villa are reportedly asking for 60 million, and Arsenal's valuation is reportedly around 40. So it
sounds exactly like when the Watkins deal.
It's the old meet in the middle trick. If you want to get it done, I'm pretty sure there's a number in the middle of those two numbers that everyone can be roughly happy with. The problem from Villa's perspective here, in terms of what's happened all summer with Arsenal, is that Arsenal danced around the Morgan Rodgers deal for a very long time, and it didn't happen in the end. Chelsea came in, paid the money, and it got done. It's hanging over Quansah now, and as you well know, Pete, you just kind of want solutions at this point. The season is genuinely starting very, very soon, and Ezri Quansah's situation is completely up in the air, which no one really needs.
Okay, well, clearly Sam's still worried there about losing another one of his players. Julien, one final one before we bring it to a close. Coventry City, they're having a bit of a go this year, and closing in on the signing of Fenerbahce striker Sidiki Cherif. You'll know him from his time at Angers.
Yeah, Angers. Yeah.
Angers. What do you reckon? Good option for a newly promoted team?
Yeah, I think great. Perfectly fitted for the Premier League. He's strong. He's tall. He runs. He works hard. He's still very raw because he's a young player and had 6 very good months in France before making that surprising move in a way to Turkey, where we probably expected him to go to a bigger club in Europe and stay there and continue his development. So I think there's a work in progress there. But for Coventry, it's a lot of money. Yeah, maybe for a young player who was in Angers not that long ago. But it's a good signing because if you work well with him, I think he can progress very quickly.
They're going for it. They've just signed a 1 year as well from Nottingham Forest. They're spending past 100 million.
Yeah.
And to bring another player of this caliber that Jules is talking about there, it's starting to convince me that of all the promoted clubs, they probably look the most equipped to maybe stay up.
Well, only one of the 3 went down last time. Let's see. There's other teams could be in the mix this year with them. Jules, thanks so much for shedding a bit of light there. It was brilliant to see you, mate.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks so much for coming in. Sam, Doms, as always, great to see you both. Watch the nightmares. Hopefully, the window is almost closed.
Some good news is on the horizon.
Yeah, after the window's closed, me and you'll just transfer talk special where we just hug and cry.
Sob,
yeah. Sob on the time. Yeah, I think the Villa fans that held up that sign actually all those years ago there. We're both sobbing now, mate, aren't we? Yeah. Anyway, there's big thanks to all the guys. Huge thanks to the production team that have put this together, John and all the guys. And you know what? The biggest thanks of all goes to you guys for tuning in and for listening. So wherever you have been following Transfer Talk, whether you've been in your car, on the train, in the wind or in the rain, in your house or in your shed, on your couch or in your bed, on the hills or in the valleys, in the streets or in the alleys, out for a run or maybe a little walk, thanks for listening to Transfer Talk.
And that's for sure.